My inspiration for this dress is the road dress from Reformation, but it costs $248. Okay, to make this dress, the first thing I did was cut out a half circle skirt, and I will link the tutorial that taught me how to make a skirt. So, I started by just laying out my fabric, making sure it's all flat and ready for cutting. And then I'm ready to chop it. So, I started with cutting out the waist, and if you want to know how to do all the calculations, just watch that tutorial and you'll be set. After cutting out the waist of the skirt, I was ready to cut out the length of it. So I started by making my skirt 18 inches, which is longer than I needed it to be anyway, but I'm cutting out my skirt wrong. Do not cut your skirt like this. I repeat, do not cut your skirt like this. This is where I realized that I royally messed up, so I went back and made the length 17 inches instead, which is also okay because it was longer than I needed to be still. Here, I'm putting a basting stitch on the bottom of my skirt, which means that I just set my machine to the longest stitch length possible and just sewed all across the bottom, which is going to help me hem later. Alright, the skirt is done for now, so we can get started on the top. So for this top, I actually used a bustier pattern that I made for my prom dress, which I never got to wear because of Corona, but that's okay. So I wanted to have a shell and a lining for this top, so I had to cut out double the amount of pieces. So in total, I had 2 center front pieces, 4 side front pieces, and 4 back pieces. Here are the 2 bustiers that I just sewed up. That is what the outside looks like, and this is what the inside looks like. I just finished ironing them to help the seams lay flat, and you can see on these 2 middle seams, I just gave them a little snippety snip to help ease the tension in the curves at the top. So as I was about to sew the 2 bustiers together, I realized that I messed up. This is the bustier, and this is what it looks like at the armhole. This back part is supposed to also have a curve that's symmetrical to this one so that I can actually attach the sleeve to it, but I just made it straight, which you're not supposed to do. So I'm gonna have to take this apart, I'm gonna have to cut out a new back piece, and then I'm gonna have to sew it all together again. Alright, both bustiers are fixed now. This is what the armhole looked like. This is what it should have looked like before. But now we're ready to sew the 2 bustiers together. Last night, I think I got a pretty good amount done. I finished sewing up the bustier. So today, hopefully I can finish this dress, maybe, if we're lucky. Here is the bustier that I sewed up last night. I sewed the shell and the lining right sides together so that when you flip them inside out, then you would have this nice clean seam on both the outside and on the inside. I also understitched the lining here so that it would stay on the back and it wouldn't roll over to the front. Okay, I sewed the top to the skirt. Right now it just looks like a really bad 8th grade dance dress, but we're gonna fix that soon. Next I'm gonna have to put the zipper in the back so that I can actually wear it. So hopefully I don't mess it up. We'll see. So remember how I said I wouldn't mess up the zipper? Well, I did. So I sewed both sides of the zipper down, but it was crooked and the seams didn't line up, so I had to seam rip one side of the zipper, move it, and then sew it back down. And finally the seams did line up, thank God. After fixing that zipper situation, I was ready to hem the skirt, so I used that basting stitch that I put down earlier as a guide, and I folded over the skirt once 1/2 inch and then again 1/2 inch, and then sewed it all down. All right, here is the dress so far. Obviously, it just looks like a regular strapless dress, but we're gonna add some spice to it.
Let me add a little bit of spice to that.
So let's get to it, shall we? Spice of the dress is obviously the sleeves, and I wanted long sleeves, so I traced and cut out the sleeve of a sweatshirt. Then I cut that pattern into strips. Then I laid down those strips and spread them out to create an even bigger sleeve pattern. After pinning the strips down, I then cut out my pattern, and this is called the slash and spread method. Here is my gigantic sleeve pattern, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut 2 of my sleeves out using this. So, to cut out my sleeves, I first laid down my fabric, and then I laid the pattern on top of it, and I made sure to line up the side of the pattern that said fold with the actual fold of the fabric, and then I cut out my 2 sleeves. Alright, here is what one sleeve looks like. It's pretty big, and I feel like I might have made them too big, but I guess we'll see how it works out. Can we just take a moment and look at this mess that is my sewing room? This is what happens when you let creativity take control. To attach the sleeves, I first sewed up the sleeve so that it would become a tube, and then I laid down my dress and I pinned my sleeve right sides together to the dress, and I made sure to line up the sleeve seam with the seam where the side front and the back meet, which is also the bottom of the armhole. I'm just going to show you what the sleeve looks like on the inside. This is what it looks like on the outside, and on the inside, this U shape right here, this is where I sewed the sleeve to the top, and then up here, I just sewed a tube so that I can feed elastic through here. So to sew the tube, what I did is you can see here that I left a pretty big seam allowance so that over here, I can fold the seam allowance over twice and create this tube. I left a gap on this end and on this end just so that I can feed the elastic through. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some elastic in here, and I'm just going to keep measuring it until it fits my shoulder comfortably. Here is the dress with elastic in the sleeve at the top. I'm actually kind of loving these gigantic sleeves, so I might make something else with these huge sleeves. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just put elastic down here so that it scrunches up and looks like this a little bit. Alright, here is what the bottom of the sleeve looks like. I pretty much just hemmed it, so I used the same method that I used to hem the skirt. I put a basting stitch all around, and then I folded it over twice, and then sewed it down again. So this is the tube that the elastic is going to go through, and I left a little gap here just so that I can feed the elastic through, sew the ends of the elastic together, and then sew this shut. So I'm just going to throw the elastic in here real quick. Oh my gosh, look at these sleeves. They're huge. Oh my gosh, I love it. So this is what the dress looks like. It's pretty much done. Tomorrow I'm going to do all the finishing touches and we'll be done for sure. Oh my god. All right, it's the last day. There are There are 3 major things that I have to do to finish up this dress. 1, I have to sew over all the edges because this fabric frays really quickly. 2, I have to put a hook and eye above the zipper just to keep it in place. And 3, I have to iron out the hem, and then we'll be completely done. Oh my god. Now I have to clean up this entire mess.